Hello, everyone. I am so excited to guide you through today's lesson. We are diving into a specific part of the TOEFL reading section, where we analyze social media posts. These questions are fantastic because they reflect the kind of information you see every day, like park announcements or community events. Our goal today is to learn how to spot key details, follow specific instructions, and identify the main message of a post quickly and accurately. Let's get started and turn these questions into easy points for your score. If you want to master more TOEFL strategies, make sure to follow along and subscribe to my TOEFL for regular lessons. Let's keep learning and reaching those goals together. Riverbend Regional Park. The title tells us exactly where we are and who is providing the information. In this case, Riverbend Regional Park is the organization making the post. This helps us understand that the content will be related to park facilities, rules, or activities. When you see a specific name like this, it sets the context for everything that follows. Planning a family reunion, birthday party, or large group gathering? This opening sentence is a classic way to grab your attention by asking a question. It lists specific events like a family reunion or a birthday party. This tells us that the post is targeted toward people looking for a place for a large group gathering. When you see a list like this, the author is establishing the purpose of the message right away. Reserve one of our beautiful picnic shelters at Riverbend Park. Here's the main action. The park wants you to reserve a specific facility called picnic shelters. This is a very important detail because it identifies what is being offered for rent or use. Pay close attention to verbs like reserve because they often point directly to the main purpose of the post. Our shelters provide a covered space with multiple picnic tables and a large charcoal grill, perfect for any outdoor event. This sentence describes the features of the shelters. It mentions a covered space and even a large charcoal grill. These details are meant to make the offer more attractive for an outdoor event. In the reading section, descriptive details like these help you visualize the setting and confirm if the facility meets certain needs. The reservation season runs from May 1st through October 31st. Now we are getting into the specific rules. The reservation season is not all year long. It has a clear start and end date, specifically ending on October 31st. Dates and time frames are crucial in these posts because they represent conditions you must follow. To guarantee a spot for your group, a permit is required. This is a key requirement. To guarantee a spot, you cannot just show up. A permit is required. The word required is a huge signal in TOEFL reading. It means this is a mandatory step, not just a suggestion. You can check availability and reserve a shelter through the Parks Department online portal. This tells us exactly how to take action. You need to use the Parks Department online portal. This online portal is the specific method provided to reserve a shelter. Knowing the official channel is often the answer to how questions. Simply select your desired date and shelter location and complete the payment form. These are the specific steps in the process. You must select your desired date and then complete the payment form. This step-by-step instruction is a common feature in informational posts, so make sure you note the sequence of events. Reservations must be made at least 72 hours in advance. Here is another strict rule. There is a deadline of at least 72 hours in advance. This means you cannot make a last-minute reservation for the same day. These numerical details, like 72 hours, are very likely to be tested. We ask all groups to help keep our parks beautiful by cleaning up their designated area and disposing of all trash in the provided containers before leaving. The final sentence outlines the responsibilities of the visitors. The park expects cleaning up the area and disposing of all trash. This is a request for the group to take care of their designated area. This information tells us what happens after the event is over. Great job analyzing the text. Now, let's tackle the first question. This question is designed to see if you can identify the big picture or the reason why this post was written. Let's look at the goal of the park's message. What is the main purpose of this post? The question is asking for the main purpose. In other words, why did the park department write this? We saw in the text that they are telling people how to reserve a shelter using an online portal. The entire post is focused on the booking process. Here is a quick tip. For main purpose questions, look at the first few sentences and the call to action. Let's evaluate option A together. To announce new rules for all visitors to the park. This choice suggests the post is for all visitors and focuses on new rules. While there is a rule about cleaning up, the post is specifically for those wanting to reserve a shelter, not everyone in the park. Also, it does not state these rules are new. Therefore, this choice is incorrect. Let's move on to option B, to promote a special event being hosted by the park. This option claims the park is hosted a special event. However, the text mentions events like family reunions and birthday parties as things you can plan yourself, not events the park is hosting. So, this is incorrect. Next, we'll examine option C, to provide instructions for booking a park facility. This choice says the goal is to give instructions for booking a facility. This matches our text perfectly. We have a step-by-step guide on how to reserve a picnic shelters using the online portal. This covers the entire content of the post. This choice is correct. Now, let's take a closer look at option D, to ask for volunteers for a park cleanup day. This option mentions volunteers and a cleanup day. While the text does mention cleaning up, it is a requirement for people using the shelters, not a request for general volunteers for a special day. This makes the choice incorrect. The correct choice should be marked as C, because the context of the passage supports only this option. The other choices involve surface-level reading or misinterpretation. Moving on to the second question. This one is a detail question. We need to find what the park specifically expects from the people who use their shelters. Let's scan the text for duties or responsibilities. What are people who reserve a shelter expected to do? This question focuses on what is expected of the users. We need to look for a specific task or behavior requested by the park. If we look at the very end of the notice, we see that the park asks all groups to do something specific before they leave. This is a classic detail question where you must find the specific instruction in the text. Let's break it down with option A, bring their own grill for cooking food. This choice says people must bring their own grill. But wait, sentence 3 says the shelters already provide a large charcoal grill. So, you don't need to bring one. This makes the option incorrect. Let's examine option B, arrive at least 3 days before the event. This is a tricky one. It uses the idea of 3 days, which is related to the 72 hours mentioned in the text. However, the text says the reservation must be made then, not that you have to physically arrive at the park 3 days early. Be careful with these word traps. This option is incorrect. Now, let's evaluate option C, pay for their permit in person at an office. Does the text say you must pay in person? No. Sentence 6 says you use an online portal and complete the payment form there. There is no mention of going to a physical office. Thus, this choice is incorrect. Finally, let's look at option D, tidy up the area after their gathering is over. This option says users should tidy up when they are finished. This matches the final sentence where the park asks for help cleaning up and disposing of all trash. This is a clear expectation listed in the text. Therefore, this is correct. The correct answer is D because the key expressions in the text directly match this option, while the other choices either provide incomplete information or clearly contradict the passage. You're doing fantastic. Let's wrap things up with the third and final question. This one asks about the sequence of events. When you see a question about the process, you need to look for what happens at the very beginning. What is the first step in the process of securing a shelter? The question is looking for the first step to get a shelter. To find this, we look at the instructions in paragraph 3. The text tells us how to start the process of securing a spot. Pay close attention to words that indicate the start of a procedure. Let's check option A and see how it compares. Calling the park ranger's main office. This option suggests calling the office. If we look at the text, there is no phone number or mention of making a phone call to start the process. Everything is done digitally, so this is incorrect. Next, we'll examine option B, using the official Parks Department website. This option says to use the official Parks Department website. In the text, sentence 6 says you can check availability and reserve through the Parks Department online portal. An online portal is another way of saying a website. This is exactly where the process begins. This choice is correct. Let's move on to option C, mailing a payment to the city office. This choice mentions mailing a payment. However, sentence 7 says you complete the payment form on the online portal. There is no instruction to use the mail. This makes the option incorrect. Here's option D. Let's break it down. Going to the park to choose a specific location. This option suggests going to the park first. But the text explains that you select your desired date and shelter location directly through the online portal. You don't need to visit the park in person to start, so this is incorrect. The correct answer is B, because the key expressions in the text directly match this option, while the other choices either provide incomplete information or clearly contradict the passage.